to be live interviewed on Twitch. So, I don't
Wow.
know if that
The
means
first the
anything
first
to you.
person in the history of Twitch?
But yeah, on my channel,
Oh, on your
So
channel. Okay, never
that's
mind.
that's a pretty big thing. But how you
Okay, yeah, I
doing, man?
guess.
Welcome in. Thanks so much for doing this again. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, I think back to our first interview back when I remember your channel was a lot bigger than mine, and I thank you for putting me on and starting my YouTube career,
Oh, no
honestly.
problem, man. No problem. No, but in all seriousness, though, I really do appreciate your support. You've been a very great help to me, and I really do appreciate that. But so to get started, I wanted to ask you about your exchange that you had with Paul Joseph Watson. Now, this is interesting because, so for people who don't know what happened between him and Paul Joseph Watson, now Anthony's made a video just totally, debunking Paul Joseph Watson. Paul Joseph Watson recently got banned off Facebook. And by the way, Anthony, your tweet response that you did to his tweet has almost more favorites than his tweet does.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Yeah, which is huge. And then 2 weeks later, Paul Joseph Watson responds, throwing all kinds of insults at you. I mean, what's your
Yeah, two
response and
two whole
analysis?
weeks.
Yeah, it took him 2 weeks. I mean, just give me your thoughts on that.
I think Paul probably has like a social media team or something working on his Twitter because I don't see why he wouldn't have responded to me for 2 weeks if it was actually him looking at all the tweets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Paul, I've thought he was very silly for a long time, which is why I made that video that I did about him being a pop culture pleb a very long time ago.
Hmm.
Um, and at the time, I remember he got really mad and he said, "I'm gonna make a response to this bald cuck," or whatever the hell he said, and he never did because I think Paul realized that I'm not just like, some dumb random internet SJW that he can just like fucking dunk on.
Right.
Like I actually can have an argument with him and point out why he's dumb and make a coherent argument, against him. He actually did another video about, why pop culture and music is garbage and blah, 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 blah. And I, was tempted to make a response to it, but honestly, it would have just played out the same because a lot of his arguments were kind of the same bullshit. And, he would have still just not responded again. Although one thing that I never really addressed that bothered me, about what he had said that I brought up in the video was toward the very end of my original video about him, where he said, that how trashy and over sexualized and so on and so forth that our media and our pop culture are. It gives our enemies, speaking of
Right. Yeah.
like Muslim extremists and terrorists, it gives them reason to attack
Oh,
us.
that was
It's like it gives them
insane.
justification. And what was funny is that, excuse me, and what was funny is that not too long after that, maybe within a year after saying that, is when the Ariana Grande bombing had happened, during her live show over in the UK. Which, given what Paul had said, you'd figure, well, that should just be the way that it is. Ariana Grande
Right.
parading herself around like a fucking slut. Of course she was going to get a suicide bomber attacking her, but instead, Paul used that, of course, as an opportunity to keep pumping up the flames of xenophobia and everything. So, dude in his idiotic opinions cannot even be consistent in applying them. Um, but yeah, I just sort of thought I would dunk on Paul a little bit there because I thought the remember us, remember us, remember us, remember us post was a kind of like a dumb meme. I don't know what the fuck Paul is thinking we need to remember. Like how will we remember you? Oh man, I miss when Paul was really out here telling it like it is, man. I really miss that. I'll remember that forever. I'll remember him. If Paul is remembered for anything, it's probably more the memes and catchphrases, around his work than it is any profound opinion that he's ever had. So, the memes will live on, Paul. Regardless of whether or not you have a Facebook account. So, don't worry about it. And while sure, tech giants like Facebook and their control over the public discourse, of course it concerns me. Of course it worries me. However, what's funny to me about this is that this is exactly the bed that the right wing and the libertarian set have made for themselves. Because up until this point, they've done nothing but argue small government, no regulation, don't touch the capitalist market, leave it alone, it'll work itself out, it's perfect. And now we found ourselves at a point where as I just said, these big tech giant companies are influencing the public discourse in a lot of negative ways. And now all of a sudden, these people who've been kind of like touting this line of, you know, low regulation to no regulation over and over and over and over, they've now met themselves, or they've now met the consequences of that. And now they're starting to cry like, oh, it's unfair. They need to be regulated. They got to be broken up. Oh my God, no. And, you know, I just find it hilarious, you know, because the thing is that's a very left-wing argument.
Right.
That is the argument
That is very interesting. Yeah, that is very interesting. But I would also say
that is the argument the left wing has been making the entire time.
Right.
Sure, you know, there are some neoliberal types in the resistance camp that don't make that argument, and that's not their concern because, you know, they're not looking at it that way. But if that's actually your concern, believe me, getting anything done on that front, it's not going to come from the Paul Joseph Watson side of the political spectrum.
Yeah, so that's all true. You do make an interesting point about how there's some right wingers who are now saying like it should be made a utility or it should be regulated very heavily by the government. Also, even on the kind of grounds of like non-regulation of just like Facebook banning him, like he's had a pretty like deep history of like literally just outright lying and making up his own fake news. So
well, yeah,
I'm not
and that's
even
the other
sure
thing.
if,
A lot
like,
of these bans come as a result of like TOS violations.
yeah,
You know, it's not because you hold a certain point of view, but you're literally just fucking violating the TOS, and that's really all there is to it.
right. Are those? So, do you have any final response to Paul until this saga continues?
No, I mean, I don't even really think it's a saga. You know, Paul will respond to me on Twitter when he feels like he can kind of paint me as like, oh, it's only okay when it happens to us, isn't it? Like that's constantly the narrative with Paul when it comes to me. Like he only responds to me when he can spin this idea that I'm just cool with horrible things happening to right wingers, and that's all. So you know, good for him, I guess.
I think he's too busy working with Alex Jones to make a response video, man.
I guess maybe.
All right. So what I wanted to ask you about, and actually,
Paul Joseph Watson response video coming 2025.
is that what he's gonna? Is that when he's gonna detach himself from Infowars?
You know, honestly, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna get a response video once.
Really?
Whether it comes at 2020 after Trump is out of office, or it comes in 2024 after Trump is out of office, unless Trump after that point decides to instill a dictatorship. I guess that's a possibility as well. But once Trump is out of office and the MAGA thing dies down in the same way that the Tea Party thing died down, because these political movements that are mostly based on being conned, they don't last forever because people get tired of them. They get exposed for being stupid, or new con men arise that present a new con that people jump on top of. Eventually, when it does die out and Paul Joseph Watson's numbers dwindle, because, I mean, like MAGA and the current flavor of the right wing at the moment is really all that's fueling his channel. Once those numbers start to go down, then I will get a response video. I'll get a response video then.
That's a very interesting point you make there. It's a very interesting point you make.
Paul will make a response video and he'll say like, I know it's been a while, but listen, it took me a while to put together this perfect response.
That'll be right in tune with
this Anthony Fantano guy, and imagine my shock when I found this, that, and the other thing. So I'll get a response video then.
I don't think he's ever going to do a response video, but I'll be surprised. I'll be shocked. I'll imagine my shock if he does.
Yeah, imagine my shock if he does. He probably won't ever respond, but, you know, a melon can dream, I guess.
Yeah, so can I. All right, so here's something else.
And you'll be the first to cover it, right?
Oh yeah, I'll be the first one doing the video. Don't worry, I got your back, bro. Don't worry.
You'll say, hey, I have a very interesting video for you guys today.
You guys probably know who Anthony Fantano is. Kind of just Paul Joseph Watson. All right, so Dave Rubin blocked you from Twitter. Now this was something that you did send me a video to make a video on. I thought it made a pretty funny video. So what is it like?
I was heartbroken.
Yeah, what is it like? You know what I mean? What is it like to just be ostracized and just banned from the marketplace of ideas?
From the marketplace of ideas. Yeah, I honestly, it's pretty upsetting. I mean, I saw Kyle and Tim Pool, and as ridiculous as Tim Pool is, you got to give the guy credit in that I have told that man to wash his smelly ass hat at least a few times, which is way more disrespectful than I've ever been to Dave Rubin. Ever been to Dave Rubin. And Tim Pool has not blocked me.
Right.
Even though I'm a blue check mark, and he's definitely seen those tweets.
Right.
And I have directly told that man his hat fucking smells like ass and he needs to wash it. And dude probably fucks with that hat on. I'm not joking. And he has not blocked me. He has taken that like a man.
Hold on, wait. I have a question for you. David Pakman had a theory that he has 365 beanies. Do you think he has 365 beanies, wears one per day? Or do you think he just has one or somewhere in the middle? Like, where does he fall? He's wearing a beanie every day.
Given Tim's current level of YouTube fame, he's more likely to be like a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday beanie kind of guy, and then he'll take it. He'll go beanie free on the weekends, unless there's like a protest or an event or something. But he's most likely got the work week beanies laid out on the bed.
But they all look the same though.
Yeah, they're all the same.
So they're all the same beanie.
They're all the same beanie.
Oh, okay.
That's his style. It's his aesthetic. But still, give it to Tim Pool. He has not blocked me, even though I've been very rude to Tim Pool. But Dave Rubin, I saw that exchange off of something David had said between Kyle and Tim, and I was blocked from what they were initially responding to, and I was like, fuck! Why am I on the outside of the marketplace of ideas right now?
The worst day of your life.
So, it sucks. I wish I was in the marketplace right now. I wish I could continue to participate in the marketplace and everything like that. And again, to be kicked out of the marketplace, I didn't even do anything as rude as like I had done to Tim Pool. I hadn't even told a lie. All I did was just say, hey guys, look, I think Dave Rubin knows what he's talking about here in terms of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about because Dave has a long history of not knowing what the fuck he's talking about. So
that's a pretty deep meme too.
Take it from the guy. Take it from the guy who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And here's an example of him not knowing what he's talking about with Joe Rogan and building codes and shit. So,
let's just take a second to think about how crazy he's blocked you. You've got over 500K Twitter followers. You're a verified user. You've got you have the most clout I know of literally anyone online, and he blocked you. That's pretty bold of him to do.
Yeah, I think he was just afraid. I think Dave is afraid of some certain ideas. And to be completely honest, I think the intellectual dark web, I think it's I don't know. I'm somebody who works in the music world. I am very heavily exposed to branding and marketing campaigns behind artists and albums quite often. But I think the intellectual dark web, it's kind of a bit of mislabeling. It's kind of a bit of misbranding because I've looked into it. They're actually on the same web as the rest of us, not actually on the dark side of the web. It's the same web all of us are on. It's actually more akin to you go to school and there's the jock table and the prep table and and then the intellectual dark web. That's more like the hot topic goth table. They're at the same fucking kind of lunch table as the rest of us. It's just a goth table. That's all it is.
So you're not a fan of the intellectual dark web?
I'm just saying it's not very good. It's misleading marketing. I'm not a fan of the marketing.
I see. So they're not really a dark web. They're just as, on Twitter and everything else, everyone else.
It's the same web as everywhere else.
I see what you're saying.
It's really an intellectual dark echo chamber, if anything.
So you touched on Tim Pool there. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on Tim Pool as well as that specific exchange you had that I had seen where you had you told him to wash his smelly ass hat. It escapes me what it was the thing where he equated someone saying that there's white privilege, like someone who says there's white privilege is a racist.
Yeah.
And then you told
him by acknowledging that white privilege exists,
right.
You're being racist or you're whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So tell me about that exchange you had. I want to just go into.
I mean, it wasn't much of an exchange because Tim never responded, and honestly, I don't think my take there was much different than a lot of other people's. I just wanted to say that, repeat it, and add on top of it that his hat smells. But essentially, yeah, he was arguing that, to break it down into even easier terms, to point out that racism exists and that there is a hierarchy of the racists controlling systematically the lives and what does and doesn't happen via a legal structure to those who are being maligned under racism. To point out that that hierarchy exists means that you're being racist, which is absolutely preposterous. And that's essentially what Tim's argument was, and it was just a silly argument.
How does he live with himself making such like insanely ridiculous takes? Like, how do you do that as a person? Especially because he claims to be left wing, which is hilarious to me. But like, how do you do that?
I don't know. I think for Tim, at the end of the day, he just sees himself as just taking advantage of people and making money off of it. I'm not going to come out here and say that. I'm not going to come out here and say that right wingers across the board are stupid. I think the type of right winger that follows and watches Tim Pool or follows and watches Dave Rubin is stupid, specifically. And the reason why is because they have already entered into that fray based on the belief of a very obvious lie. And the very obvious lie is, I'm on the left, and because I'm on the left, every ridiculous critique I have of the left has more validity. When, like, clearly you ask these guys what they think about typically left-leaning policies, and they either don't believe in them or they don't know what the fuck they are. And, to me, that says that you're not really on the left, or maybe you're perceiving yourself as being on the left because you believe in some left-leaning social issues, like, hey, maybe people should be allowed to get an abortion if they've gotten raped, or hey, maybe not allowing people to go into bankruptcy over like a health bill, a medical bill is a bad idea, or hey, maybe we should get out of all of these foreign interventions and everything, because those are traditionally left-leaning ideas. Maybe I don't know, you think that you're like this hardcore liberal or something like that. To me, the waters have been annoyingly muddied in the internet conversation these days by the right, in that it seems like there are a lot of people like Tim, like Dave, that want to appear as being left wing, and even Sargon to a degree as well, which he totally fucking rocked that. I'm a classical liberal. I'm a classical which is like a term he just literally pulled the fuck out of his ass.
Yeah.
I'm a classical
the Rubin
liberal.
train is what he was doing.
Yeah. And even Dave Rubin hopped on that. Dave Rubin, if you've watched the both of them, you can see like Dave has sort of viewed every move that Sargon has ever done very carefully and mirrored it to appeal to his audience and people that would most likely fall into his audience. Saying the classical liberal thing, jumping off Patreon the same time that he was having Patreon issues, so that he could ride on that anti-Patreon wave as well. True. Dave is very much like he's a dude who's like, he's watching the market. You know what I mean? He's looking at where the stocks are moving. He's watching the trends, and he's like, oh, this person who's very prominent in this scene of thinkers and speakers and so on and so forth is doing this, and they have an audience that I want, so I'm going to copy that right the fuck away. I'm going to continue saying, oh, I'm a liberal this and I'm a liberal that, even though like all I do is have crazy fucking right wingers on my show like Stefan Molyneux to talk about bullshit like race and IQ.
Right.
So with absolutely no pushback. Right. And no research. And
something interesting Stefan had claimed. He claimed that Dave Rubin cut out the parts where he agreed with him. Do you think that's true?
Maybe, possibly. I don't know. I mean, Dave usually says like, I fucking agree with everything.
Right. Yeah.
And even in the parts of the interview where they are talking about that, Dave isn't exactly like calling Molyneux out on anything that he was saying. Like he was pretty much just like nodding his head and just allowing him to just say all this bullshit without calling him out, and was allowing him to move through the usual narrative that a lot of these race realists do in order to push this idea. They sort of like put it out there, but then they get puppy dog eyes and they're like, look, guys, we're just pulling these test results together. It's science, okay? Nobody wants this to be the result. Nobody asked for this to be the result. This is just what it is. It breaks your heart. And, instead of actually critically looking at, okay, well, like, what do these test results mean? When were these tests taken? What were on the tests? And why are we not analyzing any of the social and material conditions that these groups of people came up in that might affect whether or not they do well on these tests? Also, why are we not analyzing the fact that IQ and intelligence, while through these tests we try to put a number on it, they're ultimately an abstract. You know, we know very little and understand very little about what intelligence and how the human mind works. And to accurately quantify something such as intelligence by just putting some fucking questions on a test paper is ridiculous. So again, very little questioning, pushback, or information in that interview. And even if Dave wasn't necessarily coming right out to say, this man is fucking right on everything he says, even if he wasn't coming out directly and saying that, like, he very much did, like, give it kind of an obvious cosign by, like, just, you know, offering nothing in terms of, like, a counterpoint or asking Molyneux to expound upon his points. And I get that there are a lot of internet content fans and internet content creators that lazily get by on this idea. And I was somebody who, you know, was bad with this myself in the past, where, you know, you just sort of let your guests talk and, you know, you give them enough rope and they'll hang themselves and so on and so forth. And that is true to a degree. But I think you should at least ask them questions that forces them in a position where they have to explain their point of view to a degree where it's going to become obvious they either know what they're talking about or they don't. And Dave doesn't even go that far.
Yeah, and I think David said that he would be the first to hold Trump's feet to the fire right after he got elected. But I don't think that turned out to be
Over
the case.
whatever issues, and Dave doesn't do any of that shit.
Yeah, he doesn't do any of it.
Dave doesn't hold any
Would
feet
you
to the
be
fire.
down to go on the Rubin Report if he invited you on? Should we get a Fantano on Rubin Report campaign going?
I asked, not asked, but I was asked by a friend of mine who said that he had connections over there if I'd be interested in going on after I had posted a meme about, it was actually, I think, maybe the meme that you had posted on Instagram of Dave's face, I think, over Patrick Starr's body. And that character is sort of showing him, like, the wallet, and he's like, "Are you Dave Rubin?" He's like, "Yeah,
Oh,
the
no.
Dave Rubin that took money from the Koch brothers." Da, 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 yeah. I posted that meme, and then somebody who I know online said, "Hey, I know people, or I have connections over there. Like, Dave's really great, and da 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 da." It's like, would you want to go on there? I'm like, fuck no, I would not want to go on the fucking Dave Rubin
Oh,
show.
dude, you should totally take the
No,
offer,
I'm
dude.
not
Just go
interested in
and
going on.
fucking
I'm
maul him,
not
dude.
interested in going on the fucking Rubin Report, because look, Dave would not have someone on who he knows is going to ask him, like, these questions. And Dave literally already blocked me. You know what I mean? Like, do you think Dave wants to have me on his show just so I could sit in front of him and say, "Dave, so what about them building codes, bro?" And also, I saw this ridiculous clip of Dave on the Majority Report. I think I don't know when the show was recorded, but I caught the clip yesterday, I think, or early this morning. And Dave was live talking, I think, in front of an audience of his fans, and he clearly exposed that he didn't know what the fuck single payer was. And he's like, "I used to talk about how I was a big supporter of single payer." Single payer meaning, like, where the government has a little bit of influence on the market. It's a light touch. You know, the insurance companies maybe get some subsidies, but they're still allowed to operate in the marketplace. And it's like, no, that's not what single fucking payer is at all, Dave.
Right,
That's not what single payer is.
Right. So we need you to educate him on his show, man. That's the thing.
It's not going to happen.
It's not gonna happen. Damn, dude.
You think I should hit up the guy that I know, say, "Hey, get me on that Rubin Report"?
Well, I thought he invited you on, so I was like, "Oh, dude, take that offer, man. You gotta go and maul him, dude, on his own show."
You know, honestly, it was not an offer. It was through a friend of somebody who might know somebody over there. So who the hell knows if that would even pan out? So.
Well, okay, so you mentioned Majority Report in there. I have to ask a quick question because I was getting some comments on videos I'd make about you. People saying that they want you to go on the Michael Brooks show. Would you be down to go on the Michael Brooks show?
Yeah, I'd be interested in going on. I've had a few interactions with Michael online. He hasn't asked, but I don't know if he has any interest, honestly. I mean, me and Michael do.
You guys would be a great pairing.
We share a mutual interest in tracksuits. I love tracksuits.
Really?
I love Adidas tracksuits. I have a handful in different colors. Michael, as you know, if you watch the show, loves a good tracksuit.
Mm-hmm.
Although Michael tends to, I have a bit more brand loyalty than Michael does. I am on the three stripe all the way. Michael, I see he's got the three stripe. He's got the Puma
He
tracksuit.
likes
He
Puma
keeps it
a
all in
lot.
black though.
Yeah,
He
he
keeps it
likes a
all in
lot of
black.
Puma too, not
I
just
like to
Adidas.
do different colors. You know, I stick with the Adidas, and I go across the color spectrum of the rainbow.
Are you sponsored
Michael
by them?
is, what is it?
Are you sponsored by them?
No, not sponsored, not sponsored. Right? No sponsorship, no sponsorship. Although I did, there was a fan of my show who works over at the employee store in Portland, and he hit me up before I went out to tour, and he said, "Yo, bro, I love your show. I work at the Adidas employee store. I can get you half off of whatever you want. Just let me know what you want, bro." So, so I
Maybe
went
that's
down
why,
there.
dude.
I got hooked up, and you know, I'm just on that. I'm just on that three stripe, every color of the tracksuit rainbow wave. Michael, on the other hand, he's like a bit more of like the Darth Vader of tracksuits. You know, he's just always in black. He's always gothed out. That's just very his vibe. And you know, but still, I think we, you know, there's a Venn diagram, and we
There's
share
so
that.
much overlap
Track.
between you two, though, dude, because he's a huge music fan. Not just rap music. I think he's into other music too.
He loves reggae, from what I
Yeah,
understand.
yeah. He's a big
He
Bob
loves
Marley
quite a bit of
fan.
reggae.
Yeah, so you guys have so much overlap, and you guys have to collab. You know what I'm saying? So I just had to bring that up because people kept asking me and telling me to do that.
Yeah, we'd
Um,
probably have a good music conversation if we had a convo. We could definitely talk about how probably the market is destroying artistic integrity or something like
yeah,
that.
it could be an interesting
But sure.
convo. Um, all right, so I wanted to ask you about this. This is gonna be kind of interesting. So, do you know, like, you know a little bit about like the whole recent like who's the best lefty debater thing? Do you know about that a little bit, right?
Yeah, I've heard about that conversation. I've heard about that.
Like you see tweets about it and stuff. So where do you fall on that spectrum? Because there's the sort of options that you have, which consist of something goes like this: Kyle Kulinski, Destiny, David Packman, Sam Cedar, Cenk Uygur, just those, and you could throw in Michael Brooks too. Like, you know, where do you fall on that? Because Kyle Kulinski says basically that 1,000% hands down he's number one.
Yeah.
Even though I feel like he hasn't really done enough debates to really qualify for that position. All he needs to do is do more debates, obviously, nothing else, but and do well in those debates. But like, you know, where do you fall in that? Where do you fall in that discussion? I think your opinion would be very highly valued.
I mean, personally, I'm more of the opinion that as far as like my favorite lefty debaters, I'm probably a bit more in the Sam Cedar Destiny camp than I am the Kyle Kulinski camp. And merely due to the fact that they're just doing it more often. You know, they're out there actually debating.
Right.
They're going to the
Exactly.
mat. You know, like I feel like here's really the threshold. Like, you may have had, you know, no matter who you are on the, you know, lefty YouTube, lefty content creator spectrum, um, if you're trying to claim, you know, the title of best debater, you better be doing at least on a regular basis
Mm-hmm.
half as many debates as
Preach.
whoever's doing
Preach.
the most debates.
Preach. Preach.
You know, you should be
Exactly.
doing debates on a regular basis. And Sam, even though you know, he is maybe one of my favorite debaters on YouTube, he has not been doing too many debates as well either lately. And I think that's partially because there are a lot of people
Well, so he
like,
debates callers on a daily basis. That's the
well,
thing.
he does, but he doesn't get as many good, like, funny libertarian callers as he used to.
Yeah,
Like, he
that's
used to get
true.
some really good fucking, like, total dumbass.
Have you seen his
Uh,
convo with Daryl Perry, who's the Libertarian presidential candidate, who's like wanted to secede from the United States?
is that
The
the guy
state of Daryl.
who's like,
He's got the big ears.
I don't want to decide liberty, Sam.
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
that,
It's that guy,
yeah,
dude. That was a
that one's
legendary
amazing.
debate. He doesn't do too
That one's
many of those
amazing.
anymore.
Yeah, honestly, I think there are a lot of people who are in that camp and also sort of like on like MAGA troll Twitter who are maybe like a little hesitant these days to call into the majority report and debate with Sam because look, if you can give the right wing anything, it's that they're very savvy when it comes to marketing themselves online, and they know and they realize every single time they roll up on the phones at the majority report and they look like total fucking idiots in front of Sam, it becomes a YouTube clip and it gets hundreds of thousands of views.
And
And as a result of that,
you've seen Steven Crowder and both Dave Rubin and Steven Crowder running from him, right? You've seen that,
yeah,
right?
they're both running from him currently. So they see that they get lots of views. They see that it ends up embarrassing, and they see that it's turning people away from them. So of course they're going to avoid Sam like the plague because he can put up a coherent argument. And Sam's very smart in that, a good debate tactic to, again, sort of like hang your opponent is to keep asking them questions and get them to, explain and expound upon what exactly it is they're trying to, get forward. It often exposes how heinous their views are and how little they actually know and understand. Which is honestly something I don't think we get the right to do enough of, especially in this age where you have your Tim Pools and you have your Dave Rubins, who more often than not are saying, "Hey guys, I'm actually a liberal here, and I'm just trying to expose how terrible the left is." They're obviously like sort of faking that point of view just so that they can get in front of a guy like Dennis Prager who says, "Oh, I'm so glad that you say you're a liberal, and I'm so glad that you're gay married because it means so much to our cause," and so on and so forth. Where it's like, I mean, that's literally being used as a pawn in the right-wing identity politics game, if anything.
Does Dave Rubin sleep at night? Like, is he able to sleep at night? Like,
I mean, probably on a bed of money.
Right, yeah, a lot of people say that. That's kind of uncomfortable, though, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe not. If you crumple up all the $100 bills and then you throw them in the mattress after that, it might contour to your body enough, like a Tempur-Pedic.
I guess that's true.
But yeah, I do see those guys running from Sam online, and I do see a lot of those right wingers avoiding talking with him on the internet, again, because every single time they do, it becomes a viral internet clip, and they don't want to keep giving him the ability to make them look stupid. They're way more effective at marketing themselves when they retreat into their echo chambers and they market what they're doing under the guise of memes and Facebook's being unfair to us and we're being persecuted and blah, 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 blah. Like trying to actually dunk on people on the left who are truly smarter than you, not like just some random kid that you've come across on a college campus, dudes like Sam who have been in broadcasting for years, going back to the Air America days and probably even before that. Wrestling with dudes like that is not going to be pretty for you, if you're some average right-wing dolt that doesn't have an education.
So what does your top ranking look like? Like if you were to just give like a quick like lightning like top 5, like what's your ranking?
What do you mean as far as like favorite
best
left
debaters? Yeah, debaters, not YouTubers,
best
but
debaters?
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite left debaters are probably, again, like, Destiny and Sam, just because of how well they've done it and just like the volume of it.
What about David Pakman?
Of their work. David, I would say, yeah, but I guess I like him more as an interviewer than a debater. But I think Pakman could definitely hold like a very good debate. And the fact that he's been so amazingly able to, go toe to toe with Jesse Lee Peterson multiple times, just make him look absolutely stupid, is hilarious to me.
You should go on Jesse Lee Peterson, by the way. Would you be down to do that?
Jesse Lee Peterson would be hilarious.
Dude, that would be the best interview of all time, I swear.
I would be hesitant to go on Dave Rubin, but Jesse Lee Peterson, I would maybe consider. I would maybe consider Jesse Lee Peterson.
You have to do it. He invites everyone on, so you'd 100,000. Like he invites everyone. He won't run from you. He actually like talks to people.
Yeah, he does invite anybody on because Jesse Lee Peterson doesn't know when he's getting owned.
Well, yeah, I mean to him he's never getting owned.
Yeah, to him he's never getting fucking owned. Jesse Lee Peterson has no fucking self-awareness, so of course he's like, in Jesse Lee Peterson's mind, he's literally fucking Magic Johnson dunking on fucking everybody.
Yeah, that's what he's doing. You guys could talk about rap music and rap culture. That'd be pretty hilarious.
Dude, we could go bar for bar. Me and JLP.
So you mentioned Destiny there. So how much do you know about Destiny? What are your thoughts of him overall as a creator here on Twitch? How much do you watch him? Thoughts on his content?
I think he's fine. I mean, there were a lot of his older debates that honestly I didn't care for at all, and I didn't like him whatsoever. I thought his debate style was annoying, and I thought that sometimes he would allow himself to be pushed into these really weird moral quandaries that made no fucking sense. I mean, case in point is that weird debate that he had a long time ago with that with that vegan gains dude. And truth be told, for a long time, I've not been a fan of vegan gains. Unfortunately, in the vegan community on YouTube and on the internet, it seems like the more unhinged and psychopathic you are, the more attention you get. So instead of making just like good quality content that sort of informs people properly about the vegan lifestyle and also like gives people the ease and convenience of sort of understanding what good nutrition is. You have dudes like Vegan Gains that have just like made complete asses of themselves. And going into this debate with Destiny, even though I agree with VG on the whole vegan thing, Destiny to me just came out looking ridiculous.
Well, yeah, his argument was incredibly stupid, right? Wasn't it that like you can't sign a social contract with animals?
There's that, and on top of it, there was this ridiculous stipulation that he had agreed to where Vegan Gains was talking about like, well, what if you had like this island of people somewhere and they were like natives and they were completely isolated from everywhere and they would like kill anybody who stepped in, like would you be fine with like killing them because they were hostile, but if you left them alone they'd just be relegated to their own area and da 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 da. It was like this crazy supposition, and Destiny just like agreed to it without like batting an eye, and he's like, yeah, fuck him or whatever. And it's like, why? And it's like, well, it doesn't even make any fucking sense. So to me, Destiny, like a lot of his earlier debates were just ridiculous, and I get that it's brought him to where he is today, but I do think he's like spent way more time than I think he needs to responding to like these idiots that frequent these kill stream
Right,
things.
yeah, like the super like basically Nazis is what they are.
Well, not only that, but the thing is like every conversation I've ever heard him have with these people is not like coherent. They're just like trying to troll each other for like an hour fucking straight, and like nobody has a good argument or anything like that. It's just basically like Destiny just like laughing at them and just like, I don't know, it's almost as if he's like showing up to a freak show and there's all these like caged morons just like banging against the bars like blah, 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 and it's like, why are we here? Why these people need help? They don't need to be gawked at.
but you like his newer content though, or like you still don't like him?
I think a lot of his newer debates are a lot more solid and are a lot better. And although sometimes he will post up a video every once in a while where, and look, I don't know what it's like to be a Twitch streamer. And I imagine that it's in a lot of ways it's probably even harder than what I do. Even though I'm always scripting my videos, I'm always writing, I'm always
it's not harder than what you do.
well, no, what I was going to say is that the convenience about what I do is that I don't need to be fucking on all the time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be on fucking camera all the time. I don't want to be talking in front of a camera all the time, because if I do it for too long, it becomes truly tiresome. You know what I mean? And some of these dudes who are on Twitch, they stream for like half the fucking day.
Yeah.
And honestly, like I would probably just be sucked of any soul that I have left if I did that. And, there are times when I see Destiny put up a video and he's like debating with some random ass fucking dude in the chat or some random ass fucking dude off Twitter. And the entire time he's like just playing a video game and he's just like, yeah, so what do you think about that? Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Okay, then. All right. Wow. And it's just like, all right, well, you're not even like engaged here. So it's not even a debate. It's not even a fucking conversation.
Dude, his subreddit's gonna go in on that. Dude, they all feel the exact same way. He streams. They go after him for streaming League of Legends for like 8 hours a day. They get really mad at him for that.
So I mean, and I understand, to the whole Twitch like, model. The whole gaming thing is sort of like a pivotal piece of the formula and all that. And I understand that he's obviously a gamer first in a lot of ways. But the thing is, like,
I don't think you would agree to that.
I don't know. Well, at this point, yeah, But I'm saying, like, he first made a name for himself through gaming, and then he was sort of like, yeah. So but the thing is, like, if you're in a game and debate at the same time, but then upload the clip to your YouTube channel and be like, debate. It's like, well, then make it a fucking debate. Don't just have it be like some random ass person talking your ear off while you play a video game.
I see what you're saying. So here's something interesting that I also wanted to talk to you about that's kind of related, I guess. So you in the midst of like shitting like on Tim Pool and just owning him, You also got into a very brief back and forth with Hassan Piker, who used to have me blocked. We're cool now though, but you did have my back, so definitely big thanks for that. What happened
Yeah.
with that? And then what are your thoughts on Hassan Piker as well? Like him as, his content. Do you fuck with his content or any of that kind of stuff?
I think some of his scripted videos on the TYT channel are fine. Um, I think Hassan is a well-intentioned guy. In person, he's probably a nice dude. I sometimes think he's a pretty sharp dresser. I do love progressive male fashion.
Oh, his
Maybe not
dressing
so
is
much the
terrible.
well, I'm gonna say there's some outfits that I think he puts on that are fire. I've seen a fit that he did. It was like overalls, tie dye shirt. I thought it was a pretty dank outfit. I do love some progressive male fashion. I think generally, male fashion is pretty trash and lacking in color, lacking in creative cuts, and so on and so forth. I do love color. When it comes to clothing, and Hassan seems to appreciate that. However, do not love the grandma print button-down shirt with the choker. To me,
Yeah,
that
he
is
was just wearing that the other day, right? Is that the one you
yeah.
saw? Where he's wearing like the
To me, that is a
BDSM
weak ass
choker?
fit. To me, that
Yeah.
is a weak fucking fit. And not to brag myself right now, I'm wearing a tiger shirt and nothing else because it's fucking hot out right now. Okay, so I'm not like wearing a fit to brag about at the moment. Okay, but still, that's a weak ass fit.
Well,
That is not a fit that
I
I
think you can go after like bad fits if you just wear normal shit. Like you just wear like normal pants and like a t-shirt, like and you see something crazy. Like I think that's fine to call out.
it's fine. I think it's fine because it's only socially acceptable that it's fine. I think I think again, I think a lot of male fashion's boring. And I do appreciate across all of Hassan's fits that he's at least trying to do something different. He's at least trying. He's at least ambitious. I think a lot of men unfortunately are afraid to embrace color. And this is just too many fucking look, I love a good black shirt and blue jeans, okay? Like it's
Gets tiring
it's
though.
it's easy. But the thing is, like, you should get one fucking orange tracksuit or something, like get something, get a purple shirt, do something else, try something else. But Hassan, I respect some of the fits. He seems like a nice, well-intentioned guy. I like some of the scripted videos on the TYT channel, but far too often when I catch him on Twitch or catch him in debates or something like that, he seems to be like arguing from a very like whiny, obnoxious, emotional place instead of coming to it in a more stoic and sort of like I hate the way that the word logical has been like usurped at this
From
point, but
Dave
I
Rubin,
don't
yeah,
say
it's
logical
ruined.
fashion because here's the thing, in a lot of debates, even if you are coming with facts, a lot of the people, especially these internet trolls on the right, they're very good because there's nothing truly at stake for them. Trump is in office. You're already talking about things like systematically white privilege and so on and so forth that has them set and so on and so forth. For Hassan, he's arguing from a place of emotion, and it's very easy for his opponents to just be like, "What the fuck? I'm not going to let you rile my feathers. You're just being illogical, bro." Blah, 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 blah. Like, even if what they're saying ultimately, factually, does not bear out. And as a result of that, again, even if Hassan is talking facts, he looks like the more unreasonable one. He looks like the one who is not making a good argument. He looks like the one who is silly. And I wish he was just a little bit
So
more
what's your advice to him
aware
to
of that.
fix that? What's your advice? I think a lot of people
just
actually
just
agree
be
with you.
just be more aware of that. Don't argue with these people from a place of anger unless you've got them so dead to rights that you can literally just shit on them to their face and it would be funny. But to me, Hassan does not have that kind of streak in him, or at least I'm not seeing it. you know Even though Destiny can be a little dry and robotic, his methodology as far as like debate goes is much more effective, not only in terms of like putting his opponent in an awkward position, but also converting people who would have previously agreed with his opponent. Hassan, I see is very much a lot less likely to convert other people, even if on maybe some issues I might agree with Hassan more than I may Destiny. Destiny's not. I mean, we perceive Destiny as like
He's
he's a
not even
lefty
that left
debater.
wing.
he's not even that left leaning. He's
Yeah.
not even that left leaning. But the thing is, Destiny knows, like, in his heart, how truly bad like a lot of this fucking alt right shit is. Whereas I think
Yeah. That's right.
a
So I
lot of
think he's
centrists,
good at going after those guys. When it comes to left issues, he kind of sucks.
yeah, like Destiny is not like. I'm sure if you argued with him enough, he could see if he doesn't already understand or agree with us, see the point of like single payer.
I
Um,
think he agrees with single payer, to be fair.
yeah, I think he probably does. To me, he seems like somebody who like logically would see the sense in that. But there are a lot of other leftist issues that Destiny's not necessarily like a champion of. He just truly sees like how bad juju like a lot of this fucking, crazy right-wing troll shit is. And, he sees it as a lot more harmful than like everything that they make a big deal about. All of their like sort of victim mentality issues that they're bringing up day in and day out to sort of draw attention to their side of the fence. So,
Did you see his debate with Charlie Kirk at Politicon or no? You didn't catch that.
Destiny?
No, sorry. I was Hassan. Hassan had a debate with Charlie at Politicon. Did you catch that or no?
I think I just caught part of it. I know I caught Sam's debate with Charlie, so I saw that, but I think I may have only seen like a piece of Hassan's conversation with Charlie. How did it turn out?
I think he did better than the year previous, and he did a decent job. I thought he fended off pretty well. But yeah, you could check that out in your time. I guess think it's worth your time.
Yeah, I don't think I don't see Hassan crashing and burning in front of Charlie Kirk or anything like
Well,
that.
he
Charlie's
did the
not there.
year prior. That was the thing. He crash and
Yeah.
burn like hard. Like it was a
Mm.
really bad like showing. But he did a lot better this year though, which is good.
Yeah.
Um,
Charlie is not the brightest crayon in the box, so
yeah, not at all.
yeah, and it doesn't surprise me that earlier that would have happened because but now every ever since then Hassan has been debating more, so he's probably improved, and which is why he did better against Charlie.
Yeah. So here's a question I have for you. It's actually an interesting one. So I guess there was like a what was it? It was like one of those I forget whose channel it was on, but it was a video. It was one of those dumb like responding to SJW's video or something. I
Mm,
think it's called Questions for White Men, and I
mm,
think you were featured in the video, right?
mm.
Like, and that was so. Do you have any reflection on that? Do you regret that? Do you not regret that? You know.
Yeah, that video was on the Amazing Atheist channel,
Oh,
and when I
okay.
originally came up on YouTube, the Amazing Atheist was admittedly a dude who had inspired me quite a bit. Obviously, not to make atheist videos or anything like that, but I had seen his channel along with some other channels like the Angry Video Game Nerd and so on and so forth, and it said, "Wow, like these people have sort of like created a whole YouTube channel, a whole video series around this one thing that they're like really passionate about. Like, why could I not do the same thing with music? That just sort of makes sense to me." So later down the road, when finally TJ had acknowledged the content that I was making, like on Twitter, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool, because I think he saw like a Marilyn Manson review that I had done. And, and we had some interactions based off of that. And, he had asked me to be a part of this video. And based on the content I had seen of his before, where he had come off pretty left leaning and also, had expressed, opinions where he was calling out and making fun of total morons in that video, like atheism is unstoppable. I had thought, okay, this kind of seems like it's going to be a taking the piss type video where it's just going to be like tongue in cheek and silly and ridiculous. Whereas, the video actually ended up kind of serious, like more serious than I would have anticipated it to be. And I took that opportunity to sort of like extend upon this meme troll character that I was developing for my channel, That Is the Plan, at the time, where I'd get the glasses and the wife beater and the beanie on, and I would just like be a total fucking asshole and just like a total unlikable, like fucking like basically the worst person like who could be on
Were
the
you
internet.
drifting towards the anti-SJW stuff on that channel specifically, or no?
I would say the politics expressed in the videos on that channel were across the spectrum, and it was really all about like eating up and regurgitating back out like the worst that the internet had to offer, and that meant like making fun of YouTube apology videos. That meant throwing in memes and making fun of MAGA. That meant making fun of SJWs. That meant making fun of like basically every shitty, annoying thing that internet culture had to offer. And there were people who were SJWs who watched my channel and got sort of like the weird alternative meme angle of the channel. There were people who were like, part of this burgeoning new right-wing fucking Pepe bullshit that were watching some of the videos on the channel. It was kind of weird and all over the place. And there were people who were like 4chan heads who were watching the channel. And there were a bunch of people who were watching the channel that were like from my music channel as well. There were tons of people who were watching the channel as well from knowyourmeme.com who were actually like, that's a pretty fucking normie meme site. Generally, a lot of the videos on the channel weren't like mega political or anything like that. I was literally like reviewing memes or just like literally making shit post videos, making videos where I would pretend to bully other YouTubers. I did a video where I made fun of PewDiePie's You Laugh, You Lose series, where instead of just like, if you laugh at a meme, you lose. If you laugh at a meme, I had to put a staple from a staple gun in me.
Shit.
So there were a lot of ridiculous videos on the channel where I was like trolling, shit posting, being really offensive, being really insensitive, being totally over the fucking top, and sometimes falling on the wrong side of issues with a wink wink. Like in my Harambe video, I remember I had different points in the video where I had called out that the meme in the video was racist or had racist usages in the video. There was another video where I was talking about anyway, I'm digressing here, but anyway, so I had this character that I was, sort of like this meme troll fucking loser that I was, pretending to be. And I thought that I could apply this character to the Amazing Atheist video. And then I didn't really think much of it until after the fact when the video came out. And then when I finally got a glimpse of it, I was like, what the fuck is Atheism is Unstoppable doing in this video? And then it's like, what are all these genuine arguments doing throughout the video? I thought this was going to be like a shitpost video. And to me, that was when TJ had like, okay, so now it's like, it's pretty official that he's like trying to basically appeal to this new burgeoning, I know we use these terms of like, alt-right and alt-light and so on and so forth. But at the time when all of this was coming up, this was the YouTube skeptic community.
Right.
Which,
yeah,
like, whatever
so you didn't know that any of those people were going to be on that video.
Well, yeah, number one. And number two, it's like what that was going to develop into even further down the road, nobody even fucking knew that. You know what I mean? Because at the time that was the skeptic community. And at the time that video was ultimately a response to those cheeky, ridiculous BuzzFeed videos, that they were coming out with around the time. And those videos for the most part now have been largely forgotten, some of which caught quite a bit of flack on the left and the right. I remember MTV tried to jump on the same wave and made a really ridiculous one about Kanye. And we're saying all this ridiculous shit about like, oh, Kanye, we take your fucking black card. You're not black anymore, this, that, and the other thing, because you talked to Donald Trump or some bullshit like that, which like, I've been highly critical of Kanye's love of Trump, but to, sort of take away his identity and take away his agency just based off of that, I think is like kind of a step too far and kind of ridiculous. And the opposite of, being woke. It's more fucking broke than woke. But yeah, that video, if I had an opportunity to go back and redo a handful of things that I have done on the internet, I probably wouldn't have appeared in that video, or I would have asked TJ, like, what's the point of this video? Is this a joke video? Is this a serious video? I had known TJ to do comedy videos in the past, and based off of, just previous understanding.
At the time that video was made, was he, because there was a span of time where he was just pumping out videos, like answers to white men or answers to black people or something like that. Those BuzzFeed videos you were talking about. Mm. So was it at that time, or was it like right before that phenomenon of his channel where he was just, because he was just putting those out and they were exploding?
It was probably around that time. But of that content that he was making around that time, I wasn't watching as much of it as I probably should have been. So I probably would have redone that before I know I interviewed Sargon back in the day on my main channel as well. If I could sort of like undo that, I would as well. And that was right after Gamergate. That was like before Sargon was like even really making hardcore political content and commentary and that sort of thing. And Sargon was not the only, person. Not rather, what I want to say is I was not the only person that had interviewed Sargon around that point. I know Michael Brooks did. I know David Pakman did, and I know
Well,
I
Michael
primarily
Brooks
was
debated
interested.
him. Michael Brooks debated him, and then David Pakman also kind of got into a bit of a debate as
Yeah, yeah,
well.
yeah. I guess it was kind of a debate, but it was like it
Michael and
was a very,
Sargon had like a full on like it was a like huge like massive debate. It was like
if
completely
I
hostile.
remember the conversation that they had initially had. Have they only been on video together once or twice?
Until all I know is though they had that one time where they were talking about
Yeah.
like Islam and stuff. Was all I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The conversation generally there was not as heated as I think I would have liked it to have been for a hardcore debate. There was even and I don't know exactly what the time frame on this is as well. I know Benjamin Dixon talked with Sargon as well, and that's where
Yeah.
Sargon you found that clip where Sargon was talking about what, that he has like black relatives or
Yeah,
something.
he said he has a like half black grandfather, and then he
So
backed away from it.
if I could go back and say, hey, this weird Gamergate guy is like going to develop into A, B, C, and D, like I would have been like, okay, that's like a bad fucking move. I'm not going to do that. So I mean, at the time when Gamergate was a thing and Sargon seemed to be the most prominent voice coming out of it, I was kind of interested in it as a topic, given all of the content and all of the interviews sort of surrounding Gamergate around that time. Another undo that I would have liked to have done is that I interviewed that guy Sam Hyde as well, which I had done off the back of.
Isn't that guy
um,
like a Nazi comedian or something? I don't know.
well, the thing is like at the time when I had interviewed him, I know that he was just on the cusp of getting an Adult Swim show, which he did. They did a whole first season of the show, and I knew him to be a very edgy comedian, but knowing his connections with Turner Broadcasting, I was like, okay, so this guy must be like
Hmm.
properly vetted by the industry, because it's like I've been in some rooms with like TV execs. I've had contracts put in front of me for some of that shit, and it's like they don't just fucking hand that shit to you, or at least in my you know experience, they don't.
Yeah, there's no way
Uh,
they don't. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like in my case, it's like the contract and the process of approving the show and doing a pilot and so on and so forth, and meeting with these people multiple times, it's usually really involved, and you sort of assume that like no way somebody as like unhinged as that politically is going to fucking get through that filter. But lo and behold, I guess it happened. So yeah, I did an interview with him based off of the comedy he had done around that time, like the fucking I want to say the TED Talk spoof that he did, which a lot of different publications had covered positively, including BuzzFeed. Again, the Adult Swim show, some of the viral sketches that he had online that had a pretty positive reception. And again, this was like definitely far before what a lot of what came out about him sort of down the road and everything after his show got canceled and everything. And then as more information began to leak out, and then I actually started like reading a lot of his political opinions online that he seemed to be saying unironically. Then I was like, oh fuck, this is like, oh
Oh shit. So this will be like the last thing. So you and Sargon have, because we did talk about Sargon. You guys have a interesting sort of, I don't even know what to call it. I mean, almost like because I've seen him say, oh, I think he commented on my video responding to your comment on my video about him that one time where he was doing that dumbass like the Democratic Party's like the Socialist Party of America shit or whatever. And then I've also seen him like comment on other videos. He never disrespected you, to be fair. He just kind of said he disagreed with you.
yeah.
But like, so what are your thoughts on Sargon, and what the fuck is going on with him, especially now that he's running as a, I think they call it standing. They don't say running. They say standing for Parliament. He's running for MEP, which is like, I guess that's the EU Parliament. And
Yeah.
just like, what are your thoughts on the guy? He's not even claiming to be left wing anymore, because I think he took a political compass test and now he's like actually like in the right wing zone. But yeah, just kind of like, just tell me your thoughts on him, I guess.
I guess just disappointed. I guess just disappointed is what I am. Early on, as grating and as rough as some of Sargon's Gamergate stuff was, he seemed to rise out of that whole movement with this message of, I don't like authoritarianism. And what bothers me so much at this point is authoritarianism and authoritarian behavior that I'm seeing on the left.
Mm-hmm.
And in that very short span of time where this person has been only making content for a little while, you could look at that and sort of, I guess, see that coalescing with, viral videos coming out of college campuses at the time and so on and so forth, and say, okay, fair. Given the current political and internet paradigm and the fact that, you're new at this, you could say, okay, if you want to make content for right now while this is relevant and this is sort of an issue, I guess that makes sense. But then as Trump began to get closer and closer to winning the nomination, you started to see Sargon backtrack on stuff like, oh yeah, I would support Bernie, and oh yeah, like, if there was like a, up and coming like Justice left-wing Democrat, like party coming up, like I would definitely support that, and so on and so forth.
He endorsed it and then backed away after AOC, the whole situation.
Like as the closer Trump got to power, and then once he got installed, it became more and more apparent that like, okay, well now you're not really talking about the authoritarianism that you see on the right. And if you're truly like disturbed by some, I don't know, feminist protesting and so on and so forth, you can't not be horrified by things like, I don't know, the murder of Heather Heyer or something like that, to which the response that I remember him giving to that with that millennial woes guy was like horrible. To sort of like see so much concern here and then not even greater concern coming from the far right now, which I mean, I think you could argue in number are probably gaining way more traction than just like a lot of weird, angry left-wing college students. To see that growing and not be concerned about it, to me says that you're just basically pandering to that crowd because you're not going to critique them. You're not going to hold their feet to the fire. And to me, that doesn't say that you're a true political commentator. To me, that says that you're just trying to feed to your audience what they want to hear. You just want to tell the audience, the MAGA crowd, what they want to hear and just continue to pull on their Patreon dollars. Obviously, he's not on Patreon now.
He's on Subscribestar now. He's on a different platform.
Yeah. But I'm arguing, ever since Trump got into office, he definitely made that pivot to saying, okay, I'm not going to critique Trump or the things that he's doing right now. I'm going to just continue to highlight what I think is ridiculous about this other group and not highlight anything I think is ridiculous about Trump. And when I'm pressed on it, I'm going to say stuff like, yes, of course I think Trump is ridiculous. That's just a given. That's obvious. But I don't feel the need to say that. And then to also, on top of it, to me, for Sargon, there were two like major exposure points that to me said like, wow, this guy's like really off the fucking deep end, or not even off the fucking deep end. Like that happened before. I would say like probably the points at which I said to myself, wow, this dude like really needs to fucking quit, is when after multiple times being pressed about the climate change thing, he was like, oh, I don't know enough about climate change.
Yeah,
I don't know enough about that. I don't know enough about that. I can't say either way. And it's like, you fucking kidding me? Like, do you not know that the Earth's fucking round, dude? Like all of this research, all of these studies, years and years and years of these statistics bearing out, and it's getting worse and it's getting worse and it's getting worse. You're still like, I don't know, man. Still, it seems like it could be one way. Seems like it could be the other way. I don't know. And then I think, honestly, for me, and I have no idea how he survived this. I mean, I guess it just goes to show how little his audience really expects from him. I don't know how Sargon still walked away functional and with a brand after embarrassing himself in the Richard Spencer debate. Because the thing is, like, that dude's ideas are so fucking shitty and so fucking heinous. How do you not have the moral and logical framework to just crush him, like, in front of his audience? And you debated the dude, and you came away from that debate looking stupid. Like,
yeah,
how did you pull that one off? Not only did you come away from it ridiculous, but you also let his audience push you into a corner, and you just responded in this really ridiculous fucking way that's now being used against you in these in these political races that I guess he's running right now. The one N-word quote that he's quoted as saying also to me as somebody who's in an interracial relationship disturbed me because it exposed an incredible amount of racism on his part. Because to say, you white people, you're just acting like a bunch of N-words and so on and so forth. This is not how white people should act. And sure, you could say, oh, well, he was just saying that because that's how the alt-right looks at it. But honestly, like, it didn't really feel that way.
Yeah, it didn't.
It felt just as fucking bad, you know? So I don't know. To me, the fact that he could not sort of take Richard Spencer to the mat, to me, said a lot. To me, says that you don't really know what you're talking about. You don't care enough about leftist politics and theory to understand why Richard Spencer is wrong. You just have this inherent feeling because society has told you Nazis are bad and that Richard Spencer is a Nazi, that you should be against him. And anything that you say,
dude, at one point he was reading Ayn Rand books on video to like combat Nazis. He's pulling out Ayn Rand.
Yeah, which is basically like using Diet Coke to argue about how regular Coke is bad.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you know what? Diet fucking Coke, bro. Diet Coke. Like, that's why Coke is bad, okay? It's like, no, man. No, you're just moving just ever so fucking slightly to the left of him to lob the weakest, most watered down argument at him. And to me, that really sort of exposed where Sargon is at politically. To me, that of course there were a lot of people up until that point that rightfully wanted nothing to do with him, based off of his comments about Jess Phillips and so on and so forth. And all of that is disgusting. And, I don't disagree with any of that. But to me, like, the biggest failing and what should ultimately like go down as the biggest embarrassment outside of everything that's happening with him with UKIP right now is that dude could not take Richard Spencer to the mat. And yet, like, you agreed to do this. Did you not prepare for it?
Oh, he definitely did not.
Like, there was obviously no prep. Like, his arguments were piss. And he let Richard Spencer get to him by not even putting an argument for it, by just calling him stupid. He's just like, oh, Sargon, you're not as smart as you think you are.
Yeah,
and then
I remember that quote.
And then Sargon just had a fucking meltdown in response to that. And it's just like, dude, like, and the thing is, like, why would you even let that get to you unless, like, this dude's word meant something to you for some fucking reason? So yeah, it's unfortunate that Carl has totally squandered, what maybe I guess could have been a principled position against authoritarianism across the board, which, I mean, I'm definitely against. I know you're against as well. You put up that great video the other day about all of those Chinese Muslims,
Yeah.
or Muslims in China sort of being persecuted right now, which to me is an incredibly, authoritarian fucking,
It's crazy,
issue.
dude. It's like for this century, it's crazy. I think it's the biggest internment in the 21st century.
It is,
Yeah.
So I think Sargon definitely early on, if he continued, down that road, could have, had a principled stance from that point of view, fighting authoritarian behavior on the left and the right. But he clearly has no fucking desire to do any of that. He would much rather turn a blind eye to all of it happening on the right now. The rise in hate crimes, those who have been hurt and victimized by it thus far, putting up weak ass arguments against dudes like Richard Spencer, even though, on paper you'll put down and you'll say, oh, I don't like Richard Spencer, I don't support him, but you'll literally lose to the fucking dude and make yourself look stupid in front of your audience and in front of his audience, which is basically just handing that dude the W. You might as well have just gone on camera and been like, this guy's great, this guy's awesome, I love this guy, because just fucking face planting in front of him as hard as you did is honestly just had the same effect. So, I'm sorry, it ticks me off so much. I lost my train of thought.
Don't worry, it's all good.
But I think he could have been in a position to sort of, argue against those authoritarian tendencies, but instead he's just turning a blind eye to it on one side and just freaking the
Not
fuck
even
out
just turning a
about it.
blind side. He supports the other side.
Sure,
He supports
sure.
Trump because he
I
said
would
he
say
triggers the libs.
it's a mix of turning a blind eye, supporting on one side, but then also freaking the fuck out at what few instances he can find of it on the other side, essentially.
Right, right. So have you seen him? I think he got milkshaked, and then I think he also got fish thrown at him like codfish. Have you seen that or no?
Yeah, with the milkshake, I'm milk shook.
How do you feel about that? I'm kind of torn on whether or not. Or they're in the UK, so they're not even here in the US. So whatever. They have totally different stuff. Like in France, like all the presidential candidates, like almost all of them have gotten egged. It's kind of a crazy like thought, honestly, the idea of that happening here. But
Yeah, I mean, it's funny over here in the U.S. Even in the age of Trump, we obsess over things like civility and decorum, and we get really mad about uh there being a lack thereof. But over there in the UK, like civility has not been a thing for a long time in politics. I mean, all you need to do is like
yeah, that's
look at
true.
some of the prime minister's questions
Right,
segments that
yeah.
they do to like see how crazy and disrespectful and just like
Those are like
off
middle school
fucking.
roast sessions, dude. It's
Yeah, it's
crazy.
it's like middle school roast sessions, and also when you like look at some of their elections, like they have people who literally run for office and they're just like meme candidates. There's like this dude that has like a giant fucking bucket head that runs like every time, and because of the way the political system works over there, like dudes over there can do that. It's like you don't need like huge funding for your campaign in order to get that done. Like you could be the Vader buckethead guy that runs in like major election every year. But what I'm more pissed off about is honestly, I made a little joke about the milkshake thing on Twitter because Paul Joseph Watson was talking about it, and I said as a vegan, I find this waste of milk really offensive, and I think that all future milkshakes should have an almond, soy, or cashew base. And then there were a bunch of right wingers saying, "Oh, well, it's okay when the left does it. You want all the right wingers to get milkshaked, blah 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 blah." And then I was just like, "Wait, hold on here, hold on, wait,
They're triggered, man.
hold on, time, time. I didn't say that I want anyone to be milkshaken, okay? I said that I just want all future milkshakes to be vegan. Number one, and number two, is this not also the you can joke about anything crowd?
Right, yeah.
Isn't that this crowd? I have not said anybody should be milkshook. All I did was make a funny. And according to Sargon, hey, the British men in the trenches, they used to do dark humor, and that's how they got through World War One and Two, and so on and so forth.
Is that really
And
something he
that's
said?
yeah, well, that's something that he said to excuse the fact that he made the rape joke about Guest Phillips.
Yikes.
So he said, "Well,
Yikes.
you can joke about anything. Anything is jokeable." So it's like, why isn't getting a milkshake thrown at you jokeable? Why can't I joke about that? I just made a fucking joke about it. Why can't I joke about it? I didn't say anybody should get a milkshake thrown on them, and I didn't do the milkshake throwing. I just made a funny. I just made a silly about it. Okay, so this is the fucking everything's a joke crowd, and lo and behold, they can't take a fucking joke. So I don't know what to tell you.
You're gonna get milkshake next, dude. Watch out, man. The karma's gonna bite you.
Well, look, if that does happen, I think it only goes to show my point here. The thing is, like, if merely making a joke against the everything's a joke crowd about milkshakes leads to me getting milkshake, then that means that you couldn't take the fucking joke.
True.
And look, if you're going to milkshake me, please, vegan milkshake. Make it a coconut one, okay? That's all I'm saying. Make it a coconut, a cashew base, soy base, almond base. I know you guys fucking love the soy. You love to fucking freak out about the soy.
Paul Joseph
It'll make it
Watson
even,
specifically too.
Paul Joseph Watson specifically. So if it'll make it even funnier to you guys and your crowd if you make it a soy milkshake. So if it's a soy milkshake, you go, "Oh, look at him. He got milkshake with a soy milkshake. Soy boy." So, look, all I'm saying is that if you're going to milkshake me, which again will be proof that you can't take a fucking joke, just make it a soy one. Okay, just make it a soy one.
But then they're gonna double whammy you though with the vegan one as well, the soy boy joke. But you'll take that though with pride, huh?
well, if everything's a joke, then everything's a joke.
All right. So I thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I know we ran a little over your time frame, but one last thing: do you regret giving My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy a 6? Yes or no? And if you want to change it, you can change it right now. Here's your opportunity.
As of right now, no.
No?
No,
What?
no, I don't. as of right now. No, I don't.
Wow, dude, I honestly have like a certain like a really big respect just for that alone. All of the shit you have gotten, and you stand by your six that you gave for My Beautiful Dark. That's pretty crazy.
At this point, it's no different than standing by any other score that I've given.
Oh no, it's very different, Anthony.
Listen, I'm not against changing my mind. I've made 2 videos where in each video I've covered 10 records that I would probably change the score on for the better or for the worse. Sometimes it's not always for the better. And My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is just not one of those albums. I just prefer other Kanye records. I prefer The Life of Pablo. I prefer Kids See Ghosts. I prefer Late Registration and College Dropout. I prefer a lot of different Kanye works to that record. I think it's decent. I don't think it's his best. And I'll leave it at that.
All right, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Do you have any last thing that you want to say before you go off? You are, being live streamed on Twitch right now, so I don't know. I mean, any last words?
What are the comments saying? Anybody throwing a comment or a meme out there? Anybody throwing a meme?
I don't know. Some people saying, someone says "fuck you, Melon" right after I just asked you about My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Someone says Melon is canceled. Another one says 10 out of 10. Review it again, mate. Like there's a lot. Dude, people are canceling you left and right for that take you just gave.
Honestly, it's fine. Look, I'm no stranger to being problematic. I've done some problematic things in the past, but I can sleep well at night knowing that none of that is going to be what cancels me. It's going to be my Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy review. That ultimately will be what cancels me.
Someone asks if you would debate Destiny about Death Grips or Yoko Ono.
Steven has reached out to me to do, maybe like a hangout or something at some point, and I'm probably going to take him up on that. And
yeah, you should.
If he has some trash ass opinions about Yoko Ono, I might have to go on stream and correct him. And although I hope he's not watching right now, because I would like to maybe try to research his opinions on Yoko and then, come on like really friendly and chill and be like, bam, it's the Yoko debate, bitch. And then just like, I have receipts.
Dude, that'd be the best debate of all time. You have to collab with Destiny, dude. A lot of people, I think, want you to collab with Hassan as well. Are you down for that or no?
I don't think Hassan likes me very much. Probably because I defended you.
That's probably it. Well, he has a certain respect for you. I know that. I don't think he dislikes you at all. He definitely has a certain respect for you because he views you as like someone who's a progressive who kind of came out or was like kind of going into that anti-SJW thing, but came out as a progressive. So, but I'm sure he'd be down to collab with you though. But thanks for defending me.
As far as that section of my YouTube content on my meme channel had gone, it's like I was really kind of shitting on a lot of different people, and still to this day, I feel like that sect of the left. I do find obnoxious, and I don't think is as effective for marketing and arguing and getting the point out there as I'm sure you already know. A lot of other people who are sort of like working in tandem with things like the Bernie Sanders campaign and the Justice Democrats and so on and so forth. But Hassan, look, I mean, I'm going to say I'm not against talking to or doing anything with Hassan or anything like that. But if it came down to Hassan of the Progressive Voice, I'm going to go with the Progressive Voice.
Thank you for that, man. I appreciate that, man. You're a real one, man. Definitely
I'm always going to go Progressive Voice.
Definitely a real one.
I'm always going to go Progressive Voice. So I don't want to get too close to Hassan and create a conflict of interest or make that decision hard.
That's a good point. I honestly don't want you to go on either. Fuck him. Don't go on there.
I know ultimately what the right decision is, and what the right decision is always going to be. But I don't want to. I don't want to make it hard. I don't want to make the decision hard. I want to keep that decision easy. Okay. The moment somebody wakes me up out of fucking dark sleep, out of a cold sweat, dark sleep, I'm sound sleep, I'm in REM sleep, and says Hassan Piker, the Progressive Voice, I'm gonna go
easy answer, easy money, dude, easy money. Yeah, fuck Hassan. Don't go on his stream, bro. Fuck it. Just stick with my stream. I'll bring you on all the time. Just fuck Hassan, dude. Destiny's okay. But not Hassan, don't you? Because there's a possible conflict of interest there.
It's always going to be Progressive Voice all day, every day, 24/7. So I may not go on Hassan's stream. I may not do anything with Hassan just based on that. If I see Hassan at a party, I'll walk away.
Oh my God, that harsh? You won't even dap him up and be like, yo, what's good?
just out of respect for the progressive world.
Damn, dude. See, this is why Fantano is the best, dude. He's better than Kyle. He's better than anyone else. Fuck it. Fantano is the best person online
It's
ever,
not
hands
that I won't
down.
say anything. If he approaches me, I'll say, "Look, man, out of respect for progressive,
I
I can't
can't
talk to you,
talk to
dude.
you.
I can't talk to you
Oh
out of
boy,
respect."
dude. That I really appreciate that. Thanks so much. All
No
right.
problem.
Well, let me see. I mean, let me see if there's anything else funny. Someone said, I don't know what this is. Someone's asked if like to ask you if you changed your mind on the ooze. I don't know what that is though.
Oh, that's a certain record that I also gave a very negative review to, even way more negative than My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, from an artist named King Cruel, and I've absolutely not changed my views on that record at all.
All right. Well,
That record, that review will probably end up getting me canceled as well.
do you think Cal Chuchesta would be down to talk to Hassan or nah? He's not down. Or you have to ask
He
him.
would, only because he doesn't know any better. He doesn't
Oh,
know any
okay.
better.
So you got to protect him. Don't let him know.
He'll talk to anybody. He'll talk to anybody.
All right, man. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. Really great conversation. Do you have any last final words you want to say? I mean, you got the floor.
I hope all of you found this interview and this talk very interesting. I hope you found this to be a very interesting video. And shout